In the city of Fisher, Oklahoma, on March 28, 1918, a little boy was born with the name Sam. His father was Thomas Walton, and he had a small farm. Thomas was always struggling with money, and with the amount of land he had, he could never make enough money to feed his family and kids. And that is why he would always go around the US to find a better job to make more money. He went through a lot of different states around the US, and eventually he stopped in Missouri. He decided to move his family to the city of Columbia in Missouri. At around this time, Sam had grew up, and in order to help his dad, he started doing different jobs as well. His mother was not unemployed either. She would milk the cows, put it in glass, and she would give it to Sam so he would deliver it to different neighbors so they can make more money. Since the first day Sam could work, he would have a job because he knew how hard his father was struggling to feed his family. Sam would always write that he would barely see his father, and he was always trying to figure out a way to make more money for the family. And whenever he would come home, his parents would always fight about money and providing. When Sam got a little older, he focused on schoolwork. He came to the idea that if he studies and gets a degree, he could make money easier because he would always see his dad struggling to make a little bit of money. Sam gets his diploma in 1935 and goes to the University of Missouri. Sam always knew to become rich as possible, you need to have a business, and that is why he chose business as his major in the university. In the year 1940, Sam Walton gets his bachelor degrees in business in the University of Missouri, and he gets a job at a clothes store. The store that hired Sam Walton was called JCPenney Company, which you should know because they're one of the biggest clothes stores in the United States. But this video is not about JCPenney. When Sam Walton was working here, he wasn't paying attention. He wanted to figure out a way to start his own business, and his paycheck was only $75 a week. And after a few months, he resigns and tells his boss he wants to start his own business. His boss told him, if you work like this, you will never be successful. You have to know that when this happened, World War II has begun, and 3 weeks before 1942, the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, and the US enters World War II. When Sam Walton sees the US enter World War II, he volunteers and enters the US Army. Unlike JCPenney, Sam Walton actually worked really hard in the army, and since he had a bachelor's degree, he became captain of the army. Since he was a captain, they didn't send him to battle, and he was allowed to work from home in his home state. At the same time, he meets Helen Robson and gets married with her. When World War II ends, Sam has a new son, and after the war, he decides to leave the army so he can start his own business. At first, he decides to open a grocery store. His father-in-law had some money, that is why he asked him for a loan. When they go back and forth, they decide on a $20,000 loan, and we really don't know how long his father-in-law needed the money back. He gets $20,000, and he had $5,000 to his name, and he comes and gets this store for $25,000, a store named Ben Franklin Stores, the same guy on the $100 bill. Sam wasn't a good businessman at first, but he was always willing to learn. Anything that was related to business that was printed in a bookstore, Sam bought it and read it. With all that information he was consuming, he thought of new ideas on how to run his store. Usually, grocery stores don't go anywhere. Trucks stop by and sell them products so they can sell it to the people. But Sam said we can't do that because we'll be equal to the other grocery stores. We have to be better than them. And for example, he would drive around America and pull up to a farm that had a rice field, and he would make a deal with them on an insane amount of rice instead of a little bit. He would buy the product at a much lower price and sell it for a lower price in his store. That is why his store got very popular quickly. He had the same quality product, but at a lower cost. Sam also brought his brother Bud Walton to help with the business. Sam and his brother had a very successful first year, and they profited about $105,000. The first thing Sam does is get that $20,000 he owes to his father-in-law and pays him back for the loan. Day by day, Ben Franklin's store is growing, but we have to know that Sam bought the lease to this property, not the actual property itself. When the landowner realized that his store is popping off, he tells Walton that after the lease is up, I need my building back. Sam Walton would always say that the worst time of his life was when he just started getting successful, but the landlord kicked him out. They once again became unemployed, but they had some money left over, and most importantly, they had experienced a little bit of failure, and they're gonna make sure it never happens again. That is why he buys another lease, but this time he makes sure the landlord signs a 99-year lease. He gets the lease to this store and names it Walton's, which is Sam and Bud's last name. These two brothers figured out a genius idea on how to run a grocery store, and that is why their new store started to pop off once again quickly. You have to realize that it's the 1950s and grocery stores are completely different. Nowadays, you bring a shopping cart and go around the store and choose what you need. But back then, it was not like that. The customer would tell a store clerk what they need, and they would go around the shelves to take out what you ordered. Sam had a genius idea once again, which is considered an invention itself. He orders these shopping carts and realizes that he doesn't need this many employees anymore. People can use the cart and take whatever they need, and they bring it up to the store and pay for their goods. With this method, we need less employees. This idea made Walton's blow up even harder. He built stores all around the state of Arkansas, and because of the low prices, they become famous in that state. When we get to the 1960s, meaning around 10 years after this, there are over 15 Walton stores in the state of Arkansas. But Sam didn't only want to stay in this state. His goal was to build Waltons all over America that had the cheapest price in any other supermarket you can think of. Walton knew that this was a risky method. There is a chance they won't sell him goods and they won't let him lower the prices. Or it could go the other way. The manufacturer would beg Sam Walton to have them in their store. In 1962, you couldn't count the Walton store as a small store anymore, and they were the biggest companies in the state of Arkansas. And that's when he decides to change the name from Walton's to Walmart. And that's a short version of Walton Mart. And Mart comes from market. Just like we said, Sam Walton didn't know anything about business in the beginning, but he was never afraid to learn. That is why year after year, he would have new ideas and bring Walmart higher and higher. At that time, every supermarket had wooden shelves, and Sam Walton was the first person to order metal shelves for his store. He said it's cheaper, they take less space, and the chances of them breaking is much lower. Another thing that made Walmart very famous was that he made the hours of operation much longer than before. He goes from 8 hours to 12 hours, and when he realized the customers are very happy about that, he even extends it longer, depending on the location of the store. It's good to know that this type of hours of operation still remains today. Depending on the city where the Walmart is located, the hours are different. In major cities, the Walmart are open 24/7, but smaller cities, they close early. When we get to the 1970s, Walmart has grew so much that they enter the stock market, and he puts 39% of Walmart in the stock market for $5 million, and he still keeps 61%. When he received the $5 million, he paid all his debts, and he tells his brother, "We need to expand even harder now, especially in different states." When we get to the 1980s, in around 10 years, he went from 20 stores to 276 stores, and that's more than 10 times. After the 1980s, Walmart is growing exponentially, and each year, 100 new Walmarts are opening in the United States. As you know, Walmart is like any other supermarket. You could buy one thing or a few things. And it's good to know that Walmart is the fastest growing supermarket in history. Sam Walton's goal wasn't to be a millionaire, multimillionaire, or a multi-billionaire. He was addicted to growing because in 1983, when he was 65 years old, he thought of another idea, the idea of Sam's Club. Sam's Club is the competitor to Costco, which sells everything in bulk. Sam's Club is very famous all over the US, but they're not as big as Costco. Instead of buying one toothpaste, you could buy a whole pack. And this is perfect for small markets like the gas station. When we reach the 1990s, there are over 1,000 Walmarts all over the US, and in these stores, more than 150,000 employees are working. In the year 1992, Walmart's revenue has reached $104 billion, but this was Sam's last year because on the 5th of April 1992, at the age of 74 years old, he passes away. But he had created a business that never stopped growing. Right now, you will find Walmart all over the world, and the amount of stores has reached more than 10,500. And each year, all these stores combined brings in more than $500 billion. Walmart is the biggest company in the US right now. And it also holds another world record. It has the most amount of employees out of any other company. If you put all the Walmarts in the world together, more than 2,300,000 employees work for them. Walmart has reached the point whenever they want to bring another product to their store, they tell the producer how much we will pay for your product. The seller cannot really decide that. Since Walmart has been doing that, a lot of protesters say that Walmart is robbing people, especially smaller businesses. But they have such high sales that any manufacturer wishes to have their product on Walmart shelves because they will know they would have very high sales. Another interesting thing Walmart has been doing is that on the side of the store, there is an auto center which changes your tires and does oil changes, and customers can leave their car there while they go shopping.